Good evening. We begin tonight keeping them honest with a few words on bravery. Today, Stoneman Douglas High School student Maddie Wilford thanked the doctors and first responders who saved her life, including Lieutenant Laz Ojeda of the Coral Springs Fire Department. When he first saw her, she was badly bleeding, near death from 3 gunshot wounds, and he had a choice. He could take her to a hospital 30 miles away where department policy said he should take her, or go someplace closer, follow the protocol and risk seeing a child die before reaching the hospital, or break protocol, go closer, and risk her getting the wrong kind of care. In Maddie's case, he broke protocol, went to the closer hospital, and thank goodness it ended well. But it easily might not have. The bravery was in knowing precisely that, knowing that either choice could have been the wrong choice and still making the decision. The irony is neither Lieutenant Ojeda today nor anyone else we've ever encountered who has actually shown such bravery has ever or would ever speak about it in those terms. In fact, speaking about it today, the lieutenant said merely, "We transferred her to a gurney, gave a report to the nurse, and we went back to work." Brave people rarely ever say, "I was brave," or boast about how brave they would be in a similar situation, or suggest that it's easy. And bravery, courage, or whatever you call it, comes in many forms. The common thread involves making a choice, or taking a stand and taking a risk. Today, speaking to the nation's governors at the White House about responses to Parkland, the president suggested he was taking a brave political stand against the National Rifle Association. He is, after all, a Republican president with a conservative base of supporters, so whatever you think of the NRA or its positions, going against them would be a risk for him. It would, in political terms, be an act of bravery. But keeping him honest, the president's words today come even as he seems to have gone silent on something he talked about supporting just last week. Here's what he said today at a meeting of governors.
You guys, half of you are so afraid of the NRA. There's nothing to be afraid of. And you know what? If they're not with you, we have to fight them every once in a while. That's okay. They're doing what they think is right. I will tell you, they are doing what they think is right. But sometimes we're going to have to be very tough, and we're going to have to fight them.
You're afraid, he says. I'm not. You're going to have to fight them, he says, like I am. The question is he? Here's what he said last Wednesday about raising the age for buying rifles, including the one used to kill 17 people in Parkland and nearly taking Maddie Wilford's life.
But in addition to everything else, in addition to what we're going to do about background checks, we're going to go very strong into age, it's age of purchase.
And here's what he said on Thursday.
I mean, we're talking about rules and regulations for purchasing. We're talking about changing an age from 18 to 21. We're talking about common sense. And it's a great thing. And the NRA will back it. I really feel very confident. The NRA will back it, and so will Congress, and so will the Senate.
Well, he said that even though the NRA had already put out a statement saying they do not and would not back it. And last Thursday night in the broadcast, we raised the question about whether he actually would take them on or bend to their will. But since Thursday, he's gone silent about raising the age. Nothing on Twitter, nothing on camera, including nothing today to those governors. And we don't know what he said to the NRA leaders when he met with them yesterday. In fact, we didn't even know the meeting took place until after the fact. It was kept off the schedule the White House puts out every day. Today, White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders dismissed the idea that the White House was hiding the meeting, suggesting it's part of the president's listening phase. Well, he definitely seems to be listening to the NRA, because even as he goes silent on the thing he promised on Wednesday to, quote, go very strongly on, he is still pushing what seems to be his and the NRA's preferred response, arming teachers. Not all teachers, he says, just some.
I want highly trained people that have a natural talent, like hitting a baseball or hitting a golf ball or putting. How come some people always make the 4-footer and some people under pressure can't even take their club back, right? Some people can't take their club back.
Now, you can take issue with how the president put that, but however he phrased it, it sure sounds like he's done listening on that particular subject, a subject the NRA is backing, even as he's telling governors not to be so afraid of the NRA. In other words, be brave like me, or just like I would have been, he said, unlike the Broward County deputy outside Stoneman Douglas that terrible day.
You know, I really believe, you don't know until you test it, but I think I really believe I'd run in there even if I didn't have a weapon. And I think most of the people in this room would have done that too, because I know most of you. But the way they performed was really a disgrace.
Brave. Now we get some new reporting that the president does indeed appear to be backing away from his comments last week about raising the age to buy an assault weapon, which we just showed you moments ago. CNN Jim Acosta joins us with that. What have you learned, Jim?
Yeah, Anderson, talking to some sources tonight who are close to this discussion about gun control issues here at the White House and up on Capitol Hill, and those sources are telling us that the president appears to be backing away from this idea that you just mentioned a few moments ago that he seemed to be supporting last week, that the age limit should be raised to 21 for purchases of assault weapons. The president tweeted about it last week. He also talked about it on a couple of occasions on Thursday, but you noticed on Friday in his CPAC speech and then today here at the White House with the nation's governors, he wasn't really talking about it, and so that led to questions about, well, what's happened to this issue. Sarah Sanders, the White House press secretary, told reporters earlier today that he supports the idea as a concept, but Anderson, tonight we're hearing from sources that he appears to be backing away from that. The president said he was willing to fight the NRA on some issues, but apparently that is not one of them. And one source close to this process explained it this way, and it really comes right out of the NRA's talking points, and that is if a soldier can carry an assault rifle on the battlefield, why can't that soldier also defend his family in his home with an assault rifle? That is a key talking point of the National Rifle Association, and it appears to be the direction the president is heading towards tonight.
Right. I mean, soldiers are able also to use handguns, which an 18-year-old cannot buy.
Yeah.
You have to be 21.
Yeah, I'm not rationalizing. I'm just saying that
Right.
This is what this source was saying. But it's clear that, the president had this meeting with the National Rifle Association over the weekend. They had lunch over here at the White House on Sunday. And ever since the president started talking about this idea late last week, there was some concern in the gun rights community that the president was going soft on this issue. That is why I think you heard the president coming out so hard today and saying he was going to do away with bump stocks. That is something he feels like he's on safe ground on. But when it comes to this issue of raising the age for purchasing assault weapons, the NRA was just not going to be with him on that issue, not to mention a lot of conservative lawmakers on the Hill.
Yeah, Jim, you asked Sarah Sanders about the president's comments. I'm wondering what her response was.
Well, yeah, I just wanted to ask, what was the president talking about when he said at this meeting today with the nation's governors that he would have rushed in to try to save these students? She said he didn't exactly mean it that way, and here's what she had to say.
I think he was just stating that as a leader, he would have stepped in and hopefully been able to help as a number of the individuals that were in the school, the coach and other adults, and even a lot of the students stepped up and helped protect other students. I think the point he was making is that he would have wanted to have played a role in that as well.
Can I just follow up on that? Is he trained in firing a weapon? Is he trained in using a handgun or a firearm of some sort?
I don't think that was the point he was making. He was saying that he would be a leader and would want to take a courageous action. And a lot of the individuals that helped protect others that day weren't carrying firearms, which I think shows that you can be helpful in that process without it.
And we should point out, Anderson, she never really answered the question whether the president is trained to use a firearm. But on another front, we should also note our sources are telling us tonight that the president and this White House, they are committed to doing something on this issue, and that we should see some movement towards strengthening the background check system. I talked to a source up on Capitol Hill this evening who said that they feel that that is something that can get done. And one other idea that was floated, Anderson, that I thought was interesting, that is there is some talk among lawmakers, and some of that may be happening over here as well, that they might give tax credits away to retired military and law enforcement to provide security in schools. That is one of the issues that they're talking about, one of the ideas that they're talking about. That obviously will not be enough for those students down in Parkland, a lot of parents across the country.